Alright guys, it's Stephen here on BlueMoonRisingTV, and the games are coming thick and fast at the moment. It's the League Cup, it's away at Swansea, and Pep has been in the news. He's been saying all kinds of things in his press conference, and we're going to pick the team even and run through a few talking points. But I've been joined by Alex Hilton, obviously one of the regulars, and Adam Bailey from City Watch. How are you doing, guys? You alright?
Oh, not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Both very eager there to jump in. But we're going to start with the main thing. Yaya Toure. He's actually been banned by Pep Guardiola. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's actually true. During the press conference for the game, he's come out and said that he won't be playing football again until Dimitri Seluk apologises for his snidey Dimitri Seluk kind of remarks about the club. And it's pretty big news in general. Yaya Toure is a very big player for this club and has been for a long time. But I think we're all probably a little bit relieved about this. Adam, what is your take on the news so far with this?
I think it's about time that someone called, Yaya's agent and Yaya out. I think, a lot of the responsibility has been put on Yaya's agent's head, but actually Yaya needs to be held to ransom about this, if you like, as well, because he's allowed his agent to come out and say these things. All it takes is a little hand on the shoulder. Excuse me, mate. Do you mind not saying that about me in the press?
Yeah.
And he's not done that, so I think Yaya needs to take responsibility for it as well. And I'm happy that with what Pep said. I'm not expecting an apology though. I don't think.
No, I can't really see an apology forthcoming personally. But Alex, do you think Dimitri Seluk's got it in him to actually apologise? Because he's quite a weirdly proud man, isn't he?
I think he is a proud man. I don't think you can expect too much rationalism out of a man who wears more fur than Cruella de Vil. I think he's someone, you said it, I think, in your intro. I think you described it as Dimitri Seluk-like behaviour. That sums the man up completely. He's on his own. There's super agents and there's major players and your Mino Raiola and so on. But there's no one out there quite like Dimitri Seluk. No one more self-involved. And Dimitri Seluk thinks that he's playing the game. I think he thinks he's got these Mourinho-like mind games, when actually he's just an idiot spouting nonsense on it half the time.
Idiot, yeah.
And I don't think this is necessarily big news. And I know that sounds a bit in contrast to what we just talked about, but I think it's what we already knew. I think we know that Pep doesn't like Yaya, and I think that Yaya was giving him that at Barcelona, and he dropped him, and I think he's given it him at Manchester City, and he dropped him again. And I think it's interesting. I was convinced that Yaya was going to play tomorrow night. I thought that would be Pep giving Yaya an opportunity to get back into the team. I am a little surprised that he's put him so far out in the cold. That does seem quite brutal. But it's what we've seen from Pep, isn't it? Throughout his career at Barcelona, at Bayern Munich, there's this sort of no dickheads policy, and Yaya's been a bit of a dickhead, and it's time for Pep to call him out on it.
Do you think this is an attempt to rule with an iron fist in terms of, I don't think he dislikes Yaya, I think he's just had differences. He actually came out and said that he's a nice person and all that kind of stuff, which might just be lip service. But do you think he saw an opportunity here to really make a stamp and really, basically send a message to the rest of the squad? And do you think he just took that opportunity, Adam, and ran with it?
Well, I don't think it was a tough decision for Pep. I know he said that in his conference, but I don't think it was a tough one. I think, the business that we've done this summer and the work that Pep's been able to do on the training ground has made it a much easier decision than it may have been in the past. And I think that Yaya has been one of those players who's been above the manager for a few seasons now. With Pellegrini was the sort of guy to say, well, fair enough, Aguero, company, Yaya, I've got no power over them. I'm going to play them every week regardless of what they say. I think it's cool now that we've got a manager who won't take any shit. And I don't think that Pep's been waiting for the opportunity, but I think he's just said what every manager should say about players like that. If a player thinks they're above the club and they're coming out and criticising the club on a regular basis, they need to be called out on it. And Pellegrini didn't have the balls to do it, and we know that Pep's got the balls to pretty much do anything. So it's refreshing more than anything, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. It is pretty refreshing because I think for far too long we've had players just walk all over the club, and it doesn't really help. I hate saying it, but the master at doing this kind of stuff was Alex Ferguson. He would go above the likes of Yat Stam, Beckham, even Roy Keane to an extent. All these kind of players who said anything vaguely negative or threatened the club's harmony, he would just go at them. And I guess Pep is probably cut from a similar cloth in terms of believing his own convictions. Alex, do you think there's actually any way back now for Yaya? As well, I've seen some people on Twitter saying this isn't Yaya's fault. Are people being a little bit naive, and is he actually to be held for the words of someone else?
I I think one of the expressions you used is an iron fist. I don't actually think it's harsh. I think it's quite a fair punishment. Imagine in any other career you talk rubbish about your boss, in the press or in front of other people or in front of their peers, you get disciplined for it. And I feel that's that's sort of fair. I don't think footballers should be an exception. I thought Adam was bang on when he said in the past Yaya's been bigger than the manager. I think Yaya, in 2012, 13, 14 was an integral player to Manchester City and someone who was undroppable. You're looking at the way that we're playing now with Gundogan coming in, with Fernandinho the player that he is, with Silva and De Bruyne being the players that they are. You're saying actually, I think Pep can afford to make a bit of an example of Yaya. Do we think there's a way back for him? Maybe, but on history, there wasn't a way back for Zlatan at Barcelona in a similar circumstance. I think historically Pep does stick to his convictions, but historically Pep has never been wrong. Who knows what happens? Maybe Gundogan's injury comes back, maybe Fernando doesn't get better, and maybe Yaya gets a chance to prove himself. But for me, Chinese transfer window in February, I think, for Yaya.
Do you know what I can't wait for? When if he does actually swallow his pride and apologise, then Pep just doesn't play him anyway, out of spite. I wouldn't put it past him to be that childish, but it'd be quite funny. Just see Dimitri Selic, on the front page, just apologising, and then Yaya left out the squad for Alex Garcia or something.
But also, exactly. Why? What has Yaya done to earn it? Because Yaya's been...
He's done quite a lot, to be fair.
No, I haven't that. Because Yaya did his legendary stuff and was brilliant and played for us maybe at a time when he was a little bit too good for us, and I am eternally grateful for that. But the time that Yaya... And that gives you a certain level. That gives you a margin for error. That gives you a margin to be a bit of an idiot and to talk badly about the club, and we'll forgive that. But it's getting to a point where the number of times that he's just wandered around the pitch not looking busy, or he's not been asked, or he's talked badly about the club, those things are becoming more numerous than the positives given to the club. And I feel like he is starting to take the biscuit a bit now, for want of a ruder phrase. He is taking the mickey a little bit, and maybe it's time to go, actually, Yaya, we don't need your trouble. And when we've got kids like Garcia coming through, then why not give them a chance? And Delph, you get no trouble out of Fabian Delph. I'd much rather see him play for City at the minute than Yaya Toure.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. In general, you have to set the tone from the very top. And I guess, and if you're looking at these young players who want to kind of break through, he has to be seen to be disciplined. He has to see to treat all the players exactly the same. And Yaya, well, he's culpable for his actions, really. He's got to deal with the fact that what's been said is said, and he has to just kind of man up and deal with it. But on the subject, you just mentioned Delph and Fernando, going away from Yaya now, because I think we all probably agree that this punishment seems fair enough. But onto the actual squad for the game, Delph and Fernando, they apparently have a chance, and so does Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany, would you see him? Would you start him tomorrow, Alex?
I'd like to see him at least get some football. I'm not a physio expert, but if he's fit enough to play a good 70 minutes of football, then I'd love to see him start, or at the very least come off the bench. I think Swansea as well have got bigger priorities in the League Cup, so there's a very chance that they'll play a few second teamers as well. And it might be a nice chilled out Wednesday evening for him to get those precious minutes and remind Pep and everyone else what he's capable of.
Yeah, in your opinion, Adam, is this a kind of competition we should take seriously? Because Alex obviously just said it could be quite a chilled out. I think we should rest some players, but obviously Pep doesn't like the idea of challenging. Well, he does like the idea of challenging 4 trophies, but he was quite explosive in his reaction to being questioned about the quadruple. But would you take a chance to rest a few players and maybe give someone like Vincent Kompany a run out?
Yeah, I'd definitely rest a few players. We've used the same players in most games now. I think De Bruyne, Sterling, they've had a lot of minutes. Most of the players are on sort of over 400 minutes now or something like that, I think. I would take the opportunity to rest a few players. But as Alex said, it depends on how fit Kompany is. I think he needs as much game time as possible to prove to Pep that he can slot back into that centre-back role, because look at the players that are in there now. They're playing so well at the moment.
Does he get in there for you? Does he start for you?
No, not automatically. It depends a lot on form. If he's fully fit, and obviously it'll take a few games for him to show that he can hit the form that he's hit in previous seasons. Then he fits in, but he doesn't start over Kolarov, Otamendi or Stones at the moment.
over Kolarov as well.
I know.
Imagine saying that 2 months ago. You would have been sectioned for saying that he doesn't start over Kolarov at centre back. That's Guardiola, isn't it? That is Guardiola. I mean, obviously as well, there could be quite a few. Obviously, this is a subject close to my heart. There could be quite a few of the young players involved tomorrow, and it does seem like there will be, because obviously Brahim Diaz, the young Spanish wonder kid's been called up as well. Apparently, the likes of Tosin, Pablo, Maffeo, Alex Garcia, and Angelino. Alex, are you expecting quite a few of them to get involved tomorrow then?
Yeah, I'd be amazed if you don't see at least 2 or 3. I think Angelino was one that's been on the fringe of Pep's squad. I think you're looking at players like Garcia, who I think Pep is very keen on, and is that ready-made Pep player. And I think further up the pitch, you know more about the names that are getting close to the team than I do, but I'm looking at it and saying we'll get 4 or 5 names. I'm sure, and that's what'd be great though, isn't it? Is that we've got the depth that. There's a few second teamers there that Delph I would expect to play, who will do a very good job. Fabian Delph is good enough to probably be a starting player for Swansea. And he's in 3rd or 4th choice maybe at the minute. So players like that as well, hopefully lending a bit of a helping hand, a bit of maturity to carry it over the line. Bid to see Caballero starts in that, I think, probably. A man who lives for the League Cup, I think, these days.
He's made his name in this cup, hasn't he? Maybe he'll get his own Wilfred Boney moment once again at the end of the season in the League Cup. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Are you looking forward to seeing some of the youngsters involved tomorrow, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, because I don't see much of him. You know, I'm very sort of focused on the first team in the stuff that I write, and you know, I don't get a chance to see much of it. But I have seen bits of Brahim Diaz. I'm not sure whether he'll get time tomorrow. I hope he does. But you know, I don't like to compare anyone to Messi, but the ball control that he has and the speed at which he moves the ball in such short spaces of time, it really does remind me of him. And I think that, you know, for the future, he is incredibly exciting. I like Tosin. I think he's a good physical centre-back. He's also a decent ball player. And I think he's got a chance tomorrow as well. But yeah, I mean, as you know more than I do, the academy products look really promising from what we've seen so far of them.
Yeah, I'll go back to basically the first time I saw Brahim Diaz. If you don't know much about him, he's just turned 17 only a month and a couple of weeks. And the first time I saw him was actually July last year, and he was playing as 15 years old at the time against Rill's first team, which is only obviously semi-pro team, but there was a bunch of 30-year-old blokes about 6'4", and he was 5'0", tiny, little impish player, and he was weaving in and out of people, and he looked impossibly skillful, but he's got the heart of a lion. That's the most encouraging thing about someone like him. I'd say the Messi comparisons are obvious, but to me, he looks a little bit like some kind of King Clancy Silva hybrid as well, in terms of he's more of a playmaker. He's not quite as he's not a forward in the way that Messi can play as a forward. He's more of an attacking midfield, I would say. And I think it's fantastic, personally, that we're seeing someone like him actually involved in the squad, because he's there on merit, and he sends out a very good message to the rest of the academy that there is a chance for them if they actually do prove themselves. And I know a lot of people were saying in the summer, to me particularly on Twitter, he won't use the kids. He's a checkbook manager and he didn't use them at Bayern. It's because they weren't good enough at Bayern. And now I think we're already seeing that regardless of their ability, regardless of anyone's age or so on, or kind of status in the squad, they won't be ahead of any of these kids. And it's great. And I think it's really fantastic that the likes of Brahim being called up, and like Maffeo, Angelino, Alex Garcia, some of our standout players who get a chance. But I could rant all day about this, as you all know. Go on, Alex, you were saying?
He was saying that Guardiola's a checkbook manager, but he gave 21 debuts in 4 years. 21 career debuts in 4 years at Barcelona. If that's a checkbook manager, what have you got to do?
It's because he apparently didn't use enough at Bayern. But at Bayern's academy, they got beaten by under-19s 6-0, 6-0 and 4-1 in 3 games. So they just weren't good enough, Bayern's academy. And ours, obviously, is a very good academy, capable of some pretty special things. So I think he's proven already that if you're good enough, then you're old enough, and it's as simple as that. But guys, let's get on to the team, because I could rant about all the youth players all day, all the long as you all know. In goal, Adam, who's starting for you?
I don't think it's as obvious as people think. I think Bravo still needs a lot of game time to settle himself in. But I'll probably go with Caballero for this one.
Massively contradict yourself there.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, man. All about Willy Caballero. Deserves it, man. It's his competition.
Yeah, we may as well say, who do we want to play? Because I think predicting this team is going to be difficult. Who do you want to see in defence? Do you want to see Company alongside a certain defender? Adam, do you want to see maybe one of the young lads get involved at full back?
I don't think we can make as many changes as people are suggesting, really. But no, I'd like to see Vinny in there, definitely, if he's fit enough. And I'd like to see him alongside Tosin. I think that's a decent partnership, experience plus youth. Gives Otamendi, Stones and Kolarov a little bit of a rest as well. So I'd go for those two.
Would you agree with that, Alex, or would you maybe mix up with someone like Stones or something like that?
I'd love to see Tosin get a game. I think obviously he's capable. He shows a lot of maturity for his age, but also depending on how Vinny is, it might be necessary to play Otamendi for the first half just to hold his hands and hopefully
literally.
I think just because if Vinny's not match fit and he hasn't got that sort of sharpness about him, it might be to have a little bit more of an experienced head or someone who's a little bit in the throes of the season.
Do you know what? Seeing as Stone sat out the last game, I'm actually going to gazump both of you and say I think it'll be Stones and Adebayo. I seen his I'm the man with a card. I'm going to take that decision and choose that anyway. And then fullback, Alex, who's going to play either side of those defenders?
I guess Angelino at left back. I can't see past that. That's a foregone conclusion for me. I think Pep likes him. I think he's a good player. I know he had a mixed season out in America, but he looks very talented. At right back, I'm expecting Maffeo again, who's featured in pre-season. But then again,
is it too much a risk to pay 3 kids, together in a back four?
Well, I didn't say that one of the kids is going to play at centre half, but
you said Tosin.
I said Otamendi, but you
said to hold his hand. Oh, did you mean the whole physical
company? Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll let you off then. Well, I take it back everything I've just said. So,
Adam,
what do you reckon? Sorry, man.
No,
sorry.
No, I'm teasing. But yeah, so I think Maffeo. But then again, Zabba didn't play against Bournemouth, did he? So again, you can see Zabaleta as one of the more experienced players to carry through.
What do you reckon, Adam?
Yeah. So I think with Tosin in mind, I think he'll play Clichy and Zabaleta.
Interesting. I reckon I'd probably agree with you on Zabaleta, both of you. I reckon because Maffeo's already started once, he might give Angelino his full debut to start, because I think he'll want to start one of them. Maffeo obviously started in the Champions League as well. So I'm going to go for that for now, I reckon. Into midfield, there's obviously a few options there. Yaya obviously is involved. Alex Garcia got on the other day. And I think we're looking to a point now, do we play De Bruyne again? Do we play Gundogan again? Because we don't want to risk these players who are... Gundogan's not necessarily fully fit for different reasons than Kevin De Bruyne, but De Bruyne could get ran into the ground like he did last season. And obviously we haven't got Silva at the moment. Who do you want to see play in midfield, Adam?
It's a toughie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would play Delph and Garcia. I would give Gundogan and De Bruyne a rest, definitely.
Are you playing ahead of them as like a number 10 kind of thing? Or are you playing I'm going to see if they did a 4-3-3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I would play Sane, definitely. But he doesn't play directly in front of them.
Fernando potentially, and maybe just push.
Is Fernando fit enough?
He said Fernando and Delph have a chance of playing.
Okay. Well,
he also said that Delph will be ready. That Delph is fit. That Fernando is still a maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So... If Fernando's fit, then I would play Fernando, Delph, and Garcia with Sane, Iheanacho, and
Navas potentially.
Someone else. Yeah, Navas.
Someone else.
Navas.
What do you reckon, Alex?
I couldn't help but notice against Bournemouth for the last 20 minutes, Sterling played at number 10 as a second striker. And I would like to see Garcia and Delph both play. Whether Pep wants to see a little bit more from a bit more experience in the middle of the pitch, perhaps, I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be surprised. Especially the way Pep likes to mix it up, is if you saw Sterling play at 10 with Sane and Navas either side, just purely on the availability. I'm thinking about it now, actually, in terms of midfield, obviously Company used to play midfield in Germany and actually signed City midfield there. Why not? It's Pep, innit? You have no idea.
That's true.
I was just literally something that came into my head. But yeah, I think I'm going to go Delph Garcia, Sterling at 10, and then Sane and Navas completing that 3, and then I can't see past Kelechi up top. But maybe little Brahim at 10. Maybe little Brahim.
Maybe, imagine that. I reckon he won't come on until we're 2-3-0 up, if he does come on at all. I would love that, but even I wouldn't throw him in, and that says a lot. So I wouldn't throw him in just yet. I think it's a step too far for a lad who's played about 3 EDS games in his career. But I reckon he might be, because if Silva's back at the weekend, I think he might think Gundogan could play one more game and then he can drop to the bench potentially. So I reckon he could be that. So I'm going to do that because I can. So I'm going to say Garcia, and you can slap me if I'm wrong tomorrow. I'm going to say Garcia, Delph and Gundogan. And then I think it probably will be Sterling on the bench, Navas, Sane and Kelechi. But guys, that is our team. Well, that's my team anyway, because I basically just told these guys that I'm going to take decisions anyway. What do you think the team what do you think the team will be? What should it be in your opinion? Yaya Toure, has he been treated harshly? Dimitri Selic, are you glad to see the back of him potentially? And what do you make of little Brahim Diaz being included in the squad? Get in the comments below. Let us know your predictions. Drop a like in the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe and we'll see you soon.